Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I'm Renee Allen, the host of this podcast. I'm half awake and still have my groggy voice, but I'm here. And this is going to be a little different episode. It's more of a guiding you into relaxation episode. So if you're driving, if you just want to listen for informational purposes, but not do it, that would be good. And then maybe save it to listen to at home, laying down or something. But I had, I don't remember which episode. I'm not as prepared. I didn't exit out of my 20 tabs here. But a few episodes ago, I talked about relaxing, the importance of relaxing. And a lot of people have a hard time with that. Some people have no problem with it. So I don't know where you fall into that, but it seems like a lot of times we have to schedule relaxation. Like I'll go on a trip and go to the beach because that's relaxing to go on the trip and be at the beach. Let me see. Rest. That was just 2 episodes ago. How rest improves ADHD brain function. What science shows. Just had to look that up real quick. See where I was. The rest, there's going to be no notes. So, because this is stuff I understand and know pretty well. And that's guiding people to relax. And there are different ways to do it. There are, like I said, going on vacation. You can also schedule a little vacation into your day. There was a point in time where I realized a lot of times you go away to get a break from all the things that you usually do. But you could schedule that in at home by pretending that you can't do anything else and actually telling yourself you can't do anything else and giving that time to yourself, whether it's a whole day. Maybe you don't live alone. That's not possible. But if other people go on a trip or something that live in your house and you get the house to yourself, maybe instead of continuing to go and keep doing the things that you do, you have that be your vacation, but at home. Or maybe it's just going to a yoga class or a stretch class or a sound bath. Have you heard of a sound bath? It's where, I don't know, the person doing it could have singing bowls or different things. They have things that resonate quite a bit when they make sound, and you just lay down and just let that go into your body and don't have to do much else. The ones that I've been to, they don't really guide you to do other things. They're not talking when they do it. I've actually taught sound bath classes, but it's not like a full hour. It's the end of a yoga class where the last 20 minutes is a sound bath, and it's pretty fun. And it's pretty amazing even as the instructor, because all of those sounds just go into your body. Your body feels it. It feels that calming power. Somehow it's a calming power. That's not even what I plan to talk about, but just to let you know that there are a variety of ways to relax. And I think that one of the reasons the beach is so relaxing is the powerful sounds that you hear while the waves are crashing. I think that you are bringing that in somehow, because sometimes you go out in public and the sounds are loud and it's not calming. And I think, why is this calming? But it is. You know, it's a white noise that helps us. It's real life white noise. But, and even a fountain or something, like if you just have a little fountain that makes noise like it's a creek or something or a waterfall, that can be calming. But whatever it is, I'm going to guide you into ways that you can relax at home. And right now, if you can, you could find a place. Even if there are other people around, it works with other people around. If they give you permission to do this, if they respect that you're going to do it and they can't interrupt you. So my favorite way to relax is to lay down on the floor with my legs up the wall. My legs are touching the wall. Sometimes for people, it's just the feet. Your hips are back more. Some people elevate the low back with, well, in yoga, we have a bolster, but I used to use couch cushions, not for legs up the wall, but for other things like that to put under my back. So you could use a couch cushion, but you could just have a wall and your body and lay down or a door, lock the door and have your legs against the door. And having the feet up high like that, higher than the heart, has physical benefits already from draining the lymph tissues. I don't know exactly what the science is, but it's really good for your body if you don't have a head injury or black eye or something like that. So when your feet are up high, and if you start feeling weird in your head, you've had a head injury, that's the only thing that I've read or found personally that this isn't for me right now. I need my head to get better first. But you can lay down. You can just even elevate your feet on a bed or a couch and have your calves supported or something. So that's one way. You can just sit back in your favorite chair. You can lay down in bed, whatever way you want to do it. Some people meditate seated, sitting upright, and just in the middle of the floor. I was never comfortable that way. If I had to do it seated in my yoga training, I would sit with my back against the wall because I could relax. My back could relax a little bit and I could have that support. And you don't want to, at least for me, I don't want to be fighting the body. I want the body to already be comfortable. And then we see what we can do with letting the rest of you relax your mind. So that's the first thing, is finding where you're comfortable, and you can always add socks, a blanket, anything that makes you feel cozy. What the body senses when you're trying to relax is light. If it's really bright, that might not be easy for you to relax. But for me, like if there are lights on in the room and somebody turns off the lights, it's like my whole nervous system just goes, I can relax if I'm trying to relax like that. If there's sunlight coming in through the window and I have the sunlight on my face, that's a whole different story. It feels amazing. I've always liked the feeling of closing my eyes and having the sun in my face. I know it's not the best back in the before sunblock and sunscreen days, but that's what I did, even without sunglasses. Now I would have sunglasses. Now I would have sunscreen, but not if you have a window. You don't have to do that. You can have the sun come in on your face and not have to worry about that. So whatever makes you comfortable, because your body senses comfort. Are you in a place that doesn't feel painful? Is it really bright? Is there a light that's interfering? Even if your eyes are closed, try it. Have somebody else turn off the light when you're already laying down to relax, and have them turn off the light and just see what happens to your nervous system. Or you can put something over your eyes. Yoga teachers used to say that when I went to yoga class. I never heard it when I did yoga videos, and I probably did yoga videos for 10 years at least before I ever went to a yoga class. But when I was in a yoga class, people would say, or if you want to cover your eyes. So I would take the sleeve of my jacket or something and put it over my eyes, and it would help, but you feel it. You feel it that way. It doesn't feel as comfortable as an eye pillow. And if you've never seen an eye pillow, it's basically shaped like a big rectangle that can fit over your eyes, and usually it could have rice in it, it could have lavender in it, it could have flax seeds in it, it could have different things. They have them where you could heat them up, not exactly like a rice bag, but you can heat them up or cool them. I just use them room temperature. I've never really done the other part, but the lavender would make it smell good and maybe be calming that way, but it doesn't have to smell like anything. It could just be an eye pillow, and they sell them anywhere. Etsy, you can get cuter ones on Etsy or Amazon or whatever. And I've never seen them in a store that's not a yoga store, but it can be little, it can be bigger. But just that weight feels kind of good too. And it comes and settles in just like you want it to, not like a sleeve or something. But jacket sleeves do work, or blankets over your head. When I first did yoga at home, without any guidance to cover my eyes, a lot of times I would, if it was colder and stuff, I would always end, and they didn't even recommend using a blanket. In yoga studios, they always have blankets. My blankets, I don't know if you're watching, the wool blankets, it matches my shirt. Wool blankets are really great because they have a weight to them. And I used these for years before it became popular to have weighted blankets. And I was like, oh, yeah. I sound like I'm 13. I understand how something weighted on your body helps you feel calm. But in my early days, I would just take the biggest quilt comforter that we had that was kind of heavy that we had in where we watched TV, and I would just put it all over me and then sometimes put it over my face too. But, sometimes you want to be able to breathe without everything over your face. But finding a way to have it be a little darker can be helpful, and being symmetrical. Sometimes people do turn onto their sides or something to just relax at the end of a yoga class, but usually symmetry is a good way to go. Your body senses symmetry, and if something's off center and you're kind of like adjusting, you're probably finding that for yourself. So your setup, whatever your setup is, you want to be comfortable. You want your body to be still. And then the idea is, can I find some stillness in my mind? Can I find some calmness in my mind? And that is the aim, but it's never easy. It's not something that people just find super easy to do. And a lot of people go to a yoga class, and you don't have to go to a yoga class to do this, but they go to a yoga class and get frustrated because their mind is just going and going and going. And that's what our minds do. The yogi people call it a monkey mind because I guess it jumps all over the place. I think of it like popcorn. When you have ADHD, your thoughts are just bouncing all around. But that happens for a lot of people, even if you don't have ADHD. But I feel like the popcorn idea is more not just the ideas keep coming up, but they never stop. They never stop. Like they're new ideas, they're new ideas, they're new ideas. So once you're laying down, so this is one of the simplest ways to just relax. And that is to notice your breathing. Notice your breathing, and whatever breathing is happening, notice how your body's moving with your breathing. Notice different things about it. The pace, the timing, how your chest expands or your belly expands, or how it kind of rises up and lowers again, rising and falling. And you could just spend your whole time observing that rise and that fall, that expansion like a balloon and that release, and slowing it down as you go, not trying to get it super slow, not trying to reach a certain number. But if it helps you to count with your breathing, a lot of times that really helps me return to noticing my breathing. Because as my brain starts to go somewhere else, it might be there for a while. And then when I notice, so you have your thoughts and then you have your brain that notices what your brain's doing, different entities somehow. Once you notice that, then you can do something about it. Or what you're doing is deciding not to do anything about it. Maybe I need to think about this right now. Maybe I need to ponder this right now. Or maybe I need to let this go. Maybe I need to send it away. And I think of clouds in the sky. And when we watch clouds, we're not actually sending that cloud away, but we watch it slowly float away. And you might think sometimes the cloud isn't moving, but when you compare it to a tree, you see it actually is moving. And you can do that with your thoughts. You can just kind of watch them move away. Another method I like to use with my thoughts is when all of a sudden I realize thoughts are spiraling around. And these are just methods you can use anytime you want to relax. But your thoughts are spiraling around and you're trying to go to sleep. You're trying to rest. You're trying to take a little pause in the middle of your day. And you just observe whatever conversation's going on in your brain. Like you're walking by a little group of people and you start to hear their conversation. And you tune into it and you say, I want to go over and talk to them. I want to be a bigger part of this conversation. Or I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to walk away. Not interested. Don't need to hear that, whatever it is. And you can do that with your own thoughts. You can just distance yourself and walk away. Another one of my favorite methods to relax is to close my eyes and pretend like I'm somewhere else. And I'll just guide you to do that right now if you want. Or you can just listen and know how to do it later. But if you can do it right now, that would be great. At least I think it would because I love it. But one time I was taking a yoga training in San Francisco. I lived about an hour from San Francisco, and it was a yoga for teens training. And they had the window open. I could hear the city street. It was a big street. It's called Van Ness. It's one of the main roads to get through San Francisco from one end to the other. And it was a fun sound. It was like the ocean. It was noisy, but something was cool about it. It was different than just being in a massage place and you're thinking, I wish I didn't hear all the cars drive by. It was different than that. But it was distracting me from calming down in my brain at the end. Because at the end of a yoga class, you usually do Shavasana. And we would do a yoga class at the end of each of these training days. And during Shavasana, ideally, you're quieting the mind with your body quiet. And I couldn't do it. And I thought, well, maybe just pretend like you're somewhere else. Even though I loved being there in this upper room, I think it was I think she must have rented space at a chiropractic office or something. But I enjoyed being there, but it wasn't helping me relax. So I thought, where is a relaxing place for me? So I laid there and pictured every detail of that place. And over the years, that's changed. That's something you could do right now. You could tune me out as I keep talking and close your eyes. And maybe it's somewhere that you used to live and you loved being in that room. And you start with one wall and you picture every detail that you remember. You notice the floor, you notice the ceiling, you notice what's over to the side. Is there a stairwell? Is there an entry to another room or an exit to another room? Is there a window? What does the furniture look like? What does the floor feel like? And you continue to notice those things, every little detail, as if you're there and you're just breathing calmly. And you find that relaxed state as if you are there. You could also do it for your favorite place in nature. You're not out in the redwoods, but you can picture the redwoods. You can picture the sounds, the light coming in so majestically. I don't live by the redwoods anymore, but I grew up with them. Most of my years, I lived in 3 different counties that had redwoods in California. And I say counties, there were different towns in each place, but you go everywhere in the county. So, yeah, pretty amazing. Or the beach. You could picture the sound of the seagulls, the pelicans, the waves, even the chattering people. Sometimes people are noisy and distracting, and sometimes that's calming. I've always loved the sound of people at the beach. I've loved the sound of people at a swimming pool, at a public swimming pool, because we used to go to a public swimming pool a lot when I was growing up in the summertime. And I love closing my eyes. I love the sun on my face, and I loved hearing the people and the splashing of the water. So you could imagine all of those things. Maybe you're not doing any of that. Maybe you're just noticing your breathing. Maybe you're just counting with each inhale and counting as you exhale. And as you inhale, you're widening. As you exhale, you're letting go. And usually when you're relaxing, you're not putting as much effort into that, that what I call like a ha sound on your exhale. But maybe at the beginning you could do that just to relieve a little stress. Another thing is you want your face to be as relaxed as possible. Anytime you have tension, shoulders come up, mouth comes in, everything comes in and up and tightens. And even when you're lying down relaxing, some of that's happening. It's just kind of natural. And so we want to reverse that and see at the sides of the eyes, let go. Just let go of weight at the sides of the eyes, the sides of the cheekbones, and all around the mouth. And I think of it, these are just things that I make up to help me find that calmness when I'm doing yoga, and I teach a ton of yoga. And usually I practice along with the class. I know a lot of teachers who don't. They walk around and they teach. And I do that 1% of the time. I used to do it a little bit more, but I like doing it too. So to me, I'm playing. We're playing. We're going to the playground. We're playing together. But in Shavasana, sometimes I just sit there and just kind of make sure nobody comes in the room or just relax with them that way. But often I lay down in Shavasana too. And I realized at some point that when I try to relax around the sides of my eyes, the sides of my cheeks, the sides of my mouth, one time isn't enough. I need to do it one time and again and again. And each time I do that, I think like I'm on a mountaintop and I'm stepping down and down and down. If you're doing it on the sides of your face, you could be going down pyramid, both sides at the same time. But I just let it happen, let it happen, let it happen. And then feel relaxed there around the eyes, and then do it with the cheeks, do it with the mouth. Often in a yoga class, and I know you're not in a yoga class if you're just doing this at home, but you're essentially doing yoga, which is linking that mind-body relaxation in some way and calming the mind, letting go of whatever's going on. That's more yoga than actually doing poses. So whatever that is for you to let go, sometimes the closed mouth is still bringing in, for me, when my mouth is closed. Maybe some people have a relaxed mouth when it's closed. Mine's not. It's coming in. I can feel it. So I just let my mouth separate a bit, but I'm still getting that sense of breathing through the nose, which for me is more calming. It's more relaxing. But I mean, yeah, I did grow up as a mouth breather. And maybe there is something to that, I don't know. But I breathe through the nose when I sleep. But when I am doing yoga, just in the last year or so, I just let my mouth not be all the way closed over my teeth, and I can relax more. And then just observing that rise and fall of the upper body, and that expansion, that release. If you like to play like a little game in your mind, instead of the simplicity of observing the rise and fall, you could do what they call, this is something I learned at my yoga teen training actually, is seesaw breathing. And that's where you just seesaw your attention. If you've never been on a seesaw, if you're not as old as I am, you probably know what it is, but it's a piece of wood. You each hold on at one end and it goes back and forth, back and forth. One person goes higher, one person goes down. It's very fun. It's very calming. And you can seesaw your attention. So when you're breathing slowly, lying on your back, even seated, your upper body expands and then it releases. And you can seesaw, noticing one time your chest expanding and then lowering. And then the next time observing your stomach, your belly expanding and lifting and lowering. And you're just being as relaxed as you can in the stomach, because the diaphragm, to breathe as nice and freely, needs to be able to lower, to push down, to make room in your lungs. And if you're holding in your stomach, I need to have a tight stomach, not while you're doing deep breathing. You need to have a relaxed stomach so your stomach can expand to make room for the lungs to get in more air. And just observing that. Observing anything you want to observe that is calming for you. Observing the timing of your breathing. 4 or 5 counts in, that's usually my timing. Yours might be faster, slower, breathing or counting. And then exhaling the same or longer. I like to have that freedom to just observe it, create it and observe, but not be locked into 4 counts in, 4 counts out. Hold it for this long. You can if you want, if that's what you enjoy, if that's what's calming for you. But you don't have to. You don't have to. We're all so different. We're all so different. And just letting go. Another thing I think of is just getting that sense of kind of melting into the ground wherever you are. The butter's going off the side. It's hot. When I bake bread, I like to take butter and just, like you still have part of that wrapper on it, and just put it all over the top of the bread as it comes out of the oven, just to give a little flavor, moistens it a little bit, but it just melts in, and, just letting things melt away, dissolving. I think some yoga teachers or meditation teachers might call it imagery, when you're imagining something in your mind. I just do it. I don't really have a name for it. But another one is to just lie there, and as you're watching your upper body expand, all that energy comes in with the breathing, and then you relax. I think of the ocean waves. I used to live by the beach for 11 years. Not right by the beach, in the redwoods, 15 minutes from the beach. But you realize, you notice when you've been at the beach, if you've been at the ocean, there is a swell. You could watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on Nature Show. But there's a swell of the wave. All the water comes. And if you're waiting to go surfing or boogie boarding, you're watching that wave come from far away. And you see it start to build, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it crashes. And so I observe my breathing like that wave, gaining power, gaining energy, expanding, lifting, becoming more monumental. And it's really huge, huh? It becomes big and exciting. And then it comes toward the shore, dissipates in the sand, and that can be your exhale. Just observing your breathing like the waves at the beach. And you may have other ways. For every person who loves one way of relaxing, another person says, that didn't work for me. I love to pretend like I'm floating on water. I love to float on my back. I love to float on a air mattress, but I also just love to float on my back. You can float longer on an air mattress, but an air mattress on a lake, there's nothing like it. So I'll imagine that. But one of my friends told me, she's come to my yoga class, and she said she went to a class once, and the instructor said, imagine floating on water. Well, that was not fun for her, because she remembered as a child, learning to be on her back and felt like she was falling in. And so that wasn't a fun one for her. All those things. I have another yoga pose that I came up with. I don't know. I'm sure if you follow other yoga teachers at some point, you find, they might do that too. But it was basically airport security on your back. So you lay down, feet wide apart, hands like this. It is so relaxing in my body. So I started teaching it in my classes. And my mom said, that stresses me out every time you say that. I thought, oh my goodness, that's too bad. It's such an easy way to describe it. And I usually go to the airport. Now I have TSA pre-check, so I don't have to do that unless I have somebody traveling with me and I don't want to, separate from them. But when I'm doing that, I'm more like, this is in my yoga class. But since my mom said that, I've changed. Your feet can be mat width apart, whatever's comfortable here. Bring your arms over your head, diamond shape arms, elbows out long, farther, hands coming in toward each other. So that changed that. And the floating on your back. Now I talk more about floating in the air. Have I ever floated in the air? No, but I can imagine it. And that's what it feels like. When you let go of weight in your body, that's what it feels like. Those are just my little tips. My little ways to guide yourself as you're relaxing. If you actually want to spend time meditating, just time quiet, it is not easy. Definitely before I taught yoga, but I think I might have done yoga, maybe some yoga videos back then. But I decided I'm going to try to meditate every morning for 10 minutes. I must have read it online or something, like it's good to meditate for 10 minutes. So I took a kitchen timer. I must have had a phone that wasn't a smartphone back then. For sure I did. And so I brought in the kitchen timer, that just the white one that goes like that. So it wasn't a beautiful sound when it ended. It didn't click. So that was good. But I tried setting it for 10 minutes. It didn't work very well. So I decided to set it for 5 minutes. And I went in every morning. This is when I had probably all or most of my kids at home. My oldest daughter, when we lived in that house, my oldest daughter went to college the year before we moved. So it could have been that year, but it might have been the year before or 5 years before. I don't know. Can't keep track. But I would go in my living room, and that's when I realized sitting in the middle of the floor for a long time, not the best for me. So I backed up against the couch. I just sat cross-legged. I didn't have any yoga bolsters, blocks, or anything like that to sit up a little higher. But you can always sit up a little higher. I'm actually doing that right now. And if you have yoga blocks, just sit on them and sit cross-legged. Or even if you like to kneel, you can sit on it. If you're watching, you can take your block and go that way or that way. But you can sit up higher so your hips are higher than your knees and your feet are lower than your hips. And it might be more comfortable for you. But however I was comfortable, I would sit there and I would just try to sit for 5 minutes. And at first it was hard. I didn't really know much about breathing. I probably tried to breathe more slowly. But I did it for 5 minutes. I was able to work up to 15 minutes. And I enjoyed it. It was just a quiet time for me. So you can always set a timer and see, move over toward the wall, get a blanket, put your legs up the wall. Blanket's a little trickier with legs up the wall because you either put it over your upper body and wear socks if you want your feet to be warm, or you have to put the blanket around your feet, push the blanket up, and then see if it reaches your shoulders. But it really is calming to do that. I've used that technique many times, even with other people around. I mean, not out in public, but, with family or something and at someone else's house and just need to rest for a little bit and just go do that. So thank you for being here. Oh, my throat actually feels a little better just talking about this, calming myself. I would guide you in breathing, but I guess I could do it at the very end. But I tried that when I was recording upstairs and found that the microphones that you use for podcasts they try to block out the airy stuff, even though I don't have a filter on it, but it just must be how it's created. So when I would try to demonstrate the breathing, you couldn't hear it. It would just stop. But for me, the expansive inhale is like the EH, the if I actually do it, probably won't pick up. And then the ha is that, like you're just saying ha, and that's your exhale. But that is your widening. That is your pushing the air out. And it doesn't have to be a hard push if you're trying to relax. This microphone that I use for the YouTube videos might pick that up. I don't know. But let's end with just a few more breaths. So go ahead and slow your breathing a bit. Feel that widening as you breathe in. Exhale thoroughly. That ha breath as you exhale. And take 5 breaths like that. And then just add a little movement, fingers, toes, even blink your eyes. To add in a little more energy. You can even take in a deeper breath. Notice how you feel. Deeper breaths, usually my mouth's open. And I found I keep adding, I'll never run out of favorite techniques. But something I've just noticed in the last year is that exhale that happens when you're crying. It's you breathe in quickly twice and exhale. So it's a If you don't try, you just do it once trying. The second time, you'll probably just do it. It feels like you've been crying, especially when you're a kid. And it's a very soothing way to breathe. I've never read that anywhere, but my mom mentioned it to me. She said she saw some video or something about it. And I thought, that's so interesting. I've been doing that. And after doing it manually a few times, I find now that when I go lay down and just try to take a nap, even if I don't really take a nap, or if I sleep for 10 minutes, at the end, I'll do that naturally and find my body's really relaxed. And I think, I've laid here long enough. Or I'll be teaching my yoga class and I'll lay there in a restorative pose or something, and I'll do that. I want to close with one thing. And if this makes it to the podcast, it means I have permission. I don't have permission yet. So I just kind of paused a little bit so I know where to edit it out if I need to. But Lizzie Lassiter is a yoga instructor. Her mother is Judith Lassiter. And Judith Lassiter has been teaching yoga for, I don't know, 50 years or something. She's an amazing resource to learn about restorative yoga, relaxing, any kind of yoga, actually. And I've taken courses with her and stuff. Her daughter, Lizzie, also teaches yoga, and I'm on her email list. Lizzie's done a lot of the email marketing and stuff for her mom, and they've created courses and things. But every Sunday I get an email from Lizzie. And lately it's been more about restorative yoga. And she and her mom are writing a book right now about Shavasana, which is the final pose in a yoga practice where you really relax. Judith Lassiter has 20-minute Shavasanas in her yoga classes, but she teaches 2-hour classes, so she has more time for that. When I learned that in one of her courses, and she did a lot of live sessions and stuff, I was really surprised. And I've done 20 minutes of Shavasana with her, but I just thought, I realized the benefits, but I thought I really couldn't do that in a class if we don't have enough time, unless it was a restorative class. And I don't teach any restorative classes. But at that time, I changed my Shavasana time from 6 minutes to 10 minutes. And it really is beneficial and wonderful. But she's writing her 12th book about Shavasana. And Lizzie wrote something really wonderful in her email today. So I responded to her and said, can I mention this in my podcast? I will give you the credit for it, but can I share it? And if she says no, then this won't make the podcast. But if she says yes, then thank you, Lizzie. I had your permission. But Lizzie wrote and said, Shavasana is one of the most powerful tools I know for the nervous system, for nervous system management. I am very bad at reading out loud. And she wrote this one line at a time, so I look at it kind of as a poem. But she said, you lie down, you cover up, you take your physical comfort seriously. I love that. You take your physical comfort seriously. If we want to be able to relax and get that calmness, we need to take our physical comfort seriously. You remember what safety feels like. Being able to be still, have a blanket, be propped up, the wall, it all feels supportive, safe, and wonderful. You notice the urge to fix and plan, for sure. You smile at your spinning mind. And the last one is you soften. So the whole plan is just to get things to calm down in your body. And when you're noticing the eyes, the cheeks, the mouth, you notice, even right now, notice if there's room to soften in your mouth. Can you let go a little more and slow down and get the rest that you need? Get that relaxation, that calmness in your body. We have plenty to wind us up during the day, plenty to come in and alert us, whether from the rest of the world or just within our own lives. Plenty comes in. You might even just get an email that says, I don't want to alert you to anything right now. But, just like billing errors or things like that. And you're like, oh my goodness, now I have to deal with that now. All those things. I don't want to take you out of your relaxation. But that's constantly we need to balance it out with the ability to let go of that, to let go of the stress in our bodies and minds. And thank you so much. I actually need to get ready. I haven't packed for my trip yet, and I'm leaving for Richmond. I'm flying out to Richmond and need to leave here in 2+ hours. I have little time, but I had to do this first so that I could have some podcast episodes for you while I'm gone. Thank you so much. I appreciate you listening. Please share my podcast with others, especially if you're in a ADHD Facebook group or on Reddit or something, and if you like my podcast, tell other people about it. Maybe they'll find it too. And we can build a community. Have a wonderful week. Bye.